The original Kingdom Rush is a banger. I have a long history with this game, stretching back to when I was a wee lad and would avoid social interaction at family dinner by playing flash games on my grandma's computer. I instantly fell in love with it, and subsequently the tower defense genre, as despite being a free browser game when I first played it, I believe it was then, and still is, a perfect introduction to tower defense games. The medieval fantasy setting paired with the banger art design caught my eye initially, but the satisfying power creep achieved through upgrading your towers is what kept me playing. I went on to beat Kingdom Rush on nearly every device I've ever laid a hand on, from my mom's busted old Kindle to school Chromebooks and every one of my smartphones. It's a D1 comfort game, and if you haven't played it, dude, what are you even doing? Go on crazygames.com right now or download it for free on your phone. Trust me, it will not disappoint. But if you need some convincing, join me as I reminisce on one of my favorite games of all time. After starting a new save and picking your difficulty, the game opens to a, dare I say, bangin' world map. It's drawn out like a strategic map of the kingdom you must defend, having little markers that appear in a trail as you fight your way through the game's 12 main levels. This might be where my love of living maps and games began, with the boat in the bottom left corner that sometimes will be swallowed by a kraken. As a kid, this led to me desperately searching, well, really just clicking, for a way to fight this guy, but sadly all my efforts were in vain, as it's just a visual Easter egg. When you click on a level, you will be met with a paragraph outlining the level's place in the story and some of the challenges you will face when battling through it. From the first level onward, the game's polish is clear, a testament to the skill of its trio of developers. Even the original browser version, with its slightly rougher quality, looks great today, and the game exudes this wholesome, imaginative spirit that brings me right back to being a third grader in computer class, waging war on chibi goblins and orcs before quickly switching the tab when my teacher would walk by. Which leads me to another compliment for the game. Its pick up and play nature. Kingdom Rush is a very accessible game, which is probably another reason why I liked it so much as a kid. You get these simple pop-up tutorials throughout the first few levels to help you get the gist of things, and from there are only notified of new enemies, different resistances, and when you unlock new tower upgrades. This keeps the game from bogging you down with annoying tutorials and rather lets you learn mostly as you play, and on subsequent playthroughs you can just click through these as they're no longer needed. The game is played entirely with your mouse as well, which adds to its casual and accessible nature. And once you start putting that mouse to use, you will find an incredibly satisfying gameplay loop. Your first 6 levels are in this lush green valley area that always kind of reminded me of the forest around Finn and Jake's house. To keep the green theme, you'll also be fighting through a lot of goblins and orcs in this section. The levels have the same amount of love put into them as the main map, with little details like these windmills that you can turn off or the many animals you'll see and hear throughout your adventure. You'll be introduced to 4 towers in the beginning, and these will be your boys for the rest of the game. Archers, who do typical archer stuff and have good range. Barracks, who will be your grunts on the ground that funnel out of this tiny building like a clown car of sacrifice. Mages, who cast damaging spells that can pierce through armor. And finally, the Dwarven Bombard, or Bombard, that works as an artillery unit, raining explosives down upon your foes. The basic gameplay loop consists of building these towers and killing enemies to gain gold, which you'll use to bolster your defense further as the horde increases. They'll gradually unlock upgrade paths as you progress, and all of them serve their own niche quite well. Picking a favorite tower, even after all this time playing, is really hard. It's like picking a favorite child, especially because all of them talk at you when placing and upgrading them. I guess if I were to rank them purely on voice lines, mages lose out despite some gems.
Might and magic. Do or do not, there is no try.
Barracks take third with lines like,
For honor and glory, no mercy.
Archers take second with heaters like,
Bullseye. This is my boomstick.
And the dwarves take the cake with many bangers, my personal favorites being,
Hail to the king, baby. Dusty.
As you traverse through these first few levels, you'll be steadily introduced to new enemies that spice up gameplay, and this keeps up all the way through to the end of the game. Stupid fast wolves and these fuck-ass orc shamans who heal orcs around them start appearing alongside beefy ogres, followed by armored brigands, and bandits, and even fat evil spiders that appear in one of my two favorite levels in this valley section. Silver Oak Forest always felt like where the game kicks into gear. This is where it got really stressful for the younger version of me, as you have to balance a lot of choke points at once. Trying not to be overrun by spiders on one side, whose matriarchs spawn eggs full of smaller spiders, while also trying to upgrade your mage towers on the other side, fast enough to deal enough damage to the armored combatants marauding through there. It felt so good to finally best this level as a kid, and while it only usually lasts the final 2 rounds for me, once you get fully upgraded and put the newly unlocked Ranger hideout upgrade for archers to use, it's quite satisfying to watch your towers cut down the hordes that were previously held back by a few farmers in hope. Speaking of those poor farmers, they are one of the 2 tools other than building towers that you can use to help defend the kingdom. I've probably sent 100,000 or so of these poor guys to fight off stragglers who got past my defenses and reinforce ground troops against particularly large groups of enemies. Honestly, it's enough of them where I'm not sure there's much of a kingdom left to defend, people-wise. Your other tool is a meteor shower that is just as beautiful as regular meteor showers, only that it's only beautiful for you, and it really sucks for the guys on the receiving end. Both of these can be upgraded, with the farmers evolving into slightly better fed farmers, to conscripts, to warriors, and finally, legionaries that can throw spears at airborne and ground-borne enemies. The meteors, on the other hand, end up being a full screen ability that leaves a trail of fire and is very helpful against overwhelming hordes. My other favorite level of this section is the boss level, the Citadel. 2 new enemies will appear here, the heavily armored Dark Knight and your first ranged combatant, the Shadow Archer. Real edgy duo, these two, but they combo with each other annoyingly well, as Dark Knights are damn near immune to physical damage, and Shadow Archers have a decent magic resistance, forcing you to keep a decent balance of different towers. To balance the scale, you have a few of the King's Guards sent to your aid, and also unlock the Paladins, a final upgrade for the barracks tower that gift you with holy beefcakes who can take a lot of damage due to their healing and resistance abilities. In addition to the Paladins, you also get a final upgrade for the mage towers in the Arcane Wizard, a purple magic beam blasting bastard who does great damage and can teleport enemies back down the path or simply incinerate them. These 2 towers will aid greatly in the first of your 3 bosses in the game, the Juggernaut. No, not the Marvel one, but they have pretty similar interests. As the sick little enemy encyclopedia states, the Juggernaut is a mindless, unstoppable machine of destruction. The Juggernaut obliterates any army that tries to stop him. So yeah, I'm sure they could find some common ground. This big metal mamma jamma can take a good few hits, but forgivingly he takes the longest path possible to get to the Citadel, so you've got plenty of time to get those hits in. During his dawdle of doom, he'll shoot out little night minions across the battlefield that consist of a helmet and not much else. They're not hard to deal with, but keep the Juggernaut from feeling like a jugger slog, am I right? Nope. Jokes aside, it's a really fun boss. It makes you feel like a badass for taking him down. Or at least as badass as you can feel watching your towers take him down. After defeating the Juggernaut, you'll move on to my favorite section of the game, the snow levels. This section always felt so cozy to me. It's got little mountain goats chilling around and this chill mammoth in the first level. Besides looking nice, it also introduces my favorite final upgrades for most of the towers. In Cold Step Mines, you're blessed with the long-range Musketeer upgrade for archers, who have this Cockney accent and a one shot, one kill ability that is really helpful when it's used on a heftier enemy and not just some chump. In Icewind Pass, you'll unlock the 500mm Big Bertha for dwarves, an Arnold Schwarzenegger-themed artillery cannon that does massive AoE, especially with its Cluster Launcher Extreme ability, and even a long-range missile. You also get an upgrade for the barracks in this level, with the Barbarian Mead Hall, a group of bloodthirsty savages who you can equip with 2 throwable axes and a net that will slow flying enemies. This makes them the only barracks unit that is useful against the gargoyle and rocket rider waves that start appearing more frequently. In the final snow level, Stormcloud Temple, you unlock the Sorcerer Tower upgrade for mages, which is incredibly useful as their attacks, while also dealing decent damage, will have enemy armor, allowing your other units to get more damage in. On top of this, you can turn foes into sheep, which is like the Musketeer's one-shot, one-kill ability, is only useful when the sorcerers use it on the right enemy, but it's funny nonetheless. On top of that, you get a sick-ass rock golem. He'll help bolster your on-the-ground forces, and watching these guys duke it out with the yetis that appear in these levels used to feel so epic as a kid. And screw it, it still does. Anything that even slightly invokes the feeling of a kaiju battle just gets my blood pumping. Besides the new yetis, you'll be fighting a lot of the new troll enemies in this trio of levels. They are basically the orcs' Chad cousins. They're tougher, deal much more damage, and their version of the shaman, the chieftain, is even more of a pain in the ass. He speeds up the trolls around him on top of healing them, so as a kid I usually would just send these guys out the way of the dinosaur the second they started drumming up trouble. These rocket riders who speed through the path also appear alongside winterwolves, who are the beefiest version of the speedy wolf enemy and can quickly overwhelm you when taking the mine shortcuts that appear for enemies to use in these levels. These keep you from just upgrading one section and requires you to keep a good balance and watch over all the entrances/exits to the mines. You'll also start seeing the chunky versions of Dark Knights here, the Dark Slayers, who don't do much besides soak up damage and slaughter your ground troops. It's really hard to pick out a favorite level in this section, as they are all quite memorable for me. The Cold Step Mines is probably the most cozy level of the game, as I feel like you have enough upgrades and powerful towers to really feel like you've got the upper hand. This paired with the wintry atmosphere and cockney quotes from your musketeers made this one of my favorites to play through. The second level, Icewind Pass, continues with the cozy atmosphere and power creep, especially since you can put a Big Bertha by the spider path and simply bomb those 8-legged freaks to smithereens. On top of the cool new towers, this level also has my favorite extra unit in the game, the Sasquatch, who I believe is named Henderson like that banger 80s movie. You can unlock him by first using your meteor power on this sheet of ice, and then after paying a hefty sum of gold, you'll get a high health ground unit that will slowly pound your enemies into a pancake. Small additions like this are really what pulls Kingdom Rush together for me. It expresses the love that was put into the game, and these little details let my imagination run wild as a kid. I would always wonder what the guys in the towers were talking about or getting up to in between fighting the hordes of enemies. Like, did the barracks soldiers get a game of cards in before I sent them to die, or were they just sitting there like, shit dude, I'm next? Now that was probably just because I was a goober and was nerdy enough to wonder what Kingdom Rush characters, if you can even call them that, were thinking. But nonetheless, it goes to show how good the game is that it inspired me to think about it that much as a kid. I used to draw out my own maps and level ideas, and to this day, making my own tower defense game, despite having no experience in programming besides typing out "Hello World" in computer class, is one of my biggest dreams. The final level has my favorite boss in the game, and introduces the legendary Golem Summon. At the end of the level, you'll be fighting JT, who is this hulking, asthmatic behemoth that will smash the ground and freeze all towers around him, in between gobbling up your troops on the ground. To unfreeze the towers, you have to frantically click through them while he's catching his breath, although this gameplay mechanic works much better on the mobile version, at least for me. While it's not a huge problem, sometimes frozen towers just won't register that I'm clicking them, which can lead to frustrating losses at the last wave where the giant yeti has just enough health to slip by. Other than that though, this is a sick boss fight, and one that I went through more times than I can count while still enjoying it. His death animation is also pretty funny, with him popping into a bunch of ice shards like Sub-Zero hit him with a fatality. Upon slaying old JT, you will enter into the final section of the game, which I like to call the Wastes, because the first level here is called the Wastes. This is by far the hardest section of the game, and as a kid, this is where I died the most, particularly on the first level, as I couldn't manage the damn skeletons that spawn whenever you kill enemies. While it is much less jarring and impossible feeling now, it still provides a good bit of challenge, and my favorite upgrade for the dwarves is unlocked here, the Tesla X104, which sounds like a first draft of what Elon Musk decided to name his kid. Sadly, you'll only have 3 levels to use it in on the browser version. 4 if you count Ruins of Akaroth, but I'm pretty sure that's unplayable on the browser version, as it says you need to complete the game to unlock it, and I've beaten the last level twice now on this save, and it still won't unlock. Nonetheless, it's in the mobile version, along with all the other extra content that you miss out on in this version. Anyways, back to the Tesla. These guys turn the artillery towers from missile-hucking mortars into a weaponized version of those plasma balls that the real Nikola Tesla invented. Bolts of electricity will arc from enemy to enemy like a cuter, much less portable version of the Wonderwaff from COD Zombies. And you can even put a field of damaging electricity around the tower to get some extra damage in. These units are super useful, as they are more effective against armored units than their purely explosive counterparts. In this section, you'll be introduced to a good few enemies, including the priorly mentioned bum-ass bonehead skeletons, demon spawn, demon hounds, demon imps, demon lords, magma elementals, who you can pit against your sadly much weaker rock elemental, and the ultimate pest, necromancers. These guys summon skeletons from the ground, 'cause yeah, I totally wanted more of those guys, and can quickly amass a large horde if you don't deal with them quickly. Necromancers have the same protocol for me as the troll chieftains. Bomb 'em to high hell. After meteor showering your way through these new enemies, you will be led to the climactic level of the game, the Dark Tower. As said in the flavor text before beginning, this is where you really need to show your mettle. All the stops will be thrown at you, with hordes of demons, skeletons, dark knights, and many others pouring out through the pathways. You'll constantly be under pressure, as the skeleton spawning graveyard is right next to your end of the path, and the waves of enemies are pretty unforgiving number-wise. Luckily, you'll be making a lot of gold as you slaughter through the horde, and by the time you have to fight Veznan, the big bad Dark Lord who's been causing all this ruckus, you'll probably have close to, if not every single tower on the map fully upgraded. In the last few waves before Veznan comes to deal with things himself, he'll start pulling some Dark Lord shenanigans and blocking your towers off, requiring you to click through them or lose out on that tower for a little bit, like with the fight against JT. Once you fight off the majority of his forces, Veznan channels his inner postal guy and slowly walks out to come destroy the meddling kids that have put a pin in his kingdom-conquering plan. He ain't destroying shit though, because at this point you've got high damage towers and your ever trustworthy meteors, which made quick work of his first form, before he even made it to my first barracks tower. Yeah, that's right, I said first form, cause this is a 2-phase boss fight, baby. His second form is more similar to the other big bads we've faced so far. He's a giant demon who, despite the size, still falls about as easy as his puny first form. In all honesty, Veznan is a little underwhelming. But I still mess with it. It makes the player feel powerful for stopping the Dark Lord while still giving you a good challenge throughout the lead up to the boss. His death animation is pretty sick too, with a bunch of green souls bursting out of him like he's Ermac before he explodes. And with that, the kingdom has been saved. Or has it? After beating the game, or during your playthrough if you want some extra upgrade points earlier, you can go back and beat levels you've previously bested with the Heroic and Iron Challenge modes. These are a nice bit of extra content that throw fun difficulty modifiers in, like using no archers or mages in the first level's Iron Challenge, or having no barracks in the Cold Step Mines, which requires you to abuse those poor reinforcements even more than usual. Upon going through Kingdom Rush for the millionth time in preparation for this video, I think I've only fallen in love more. It's one of the few games where the rose-tinted memories I have from playing it as a dumb 6-year-old translate almost entirely into playing it as a possibly less intelligent 18-year-old. The game is so packed with heart and a fun gameplay loop that I already know another playthrough won't be far in the future. It's one of my most comfy comfort games, and the mobile/Steam version adds a plethora of extra content that make it near perfect in my eyes. Besides the diamond shop, still not sure if I really like that edition. If the rest of this video hasn't convinced you to go play it, then I don't know, dude. Stay ignorant to greatness if you truly must. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please throw a thumbs up my way or subscribe for more content. Who knows, I might end up covering the other Kingdom Rush games if people ask, as I've played through Frontiers and Origins, not nearly as much as the first, but I still really enjoyed them and wouldn't mind talking about them. So yeah, see ya.